Okay, and welcome to the channel, everybody, all the group. So today I have Tina with me, and we are going to be talking about how hypnotherapy can help with chronic pain. So for those who don't know me, my name's Sandy, and I help individuals reduce their lower back pain without relying solely on medical professionals. So Tina, tell me a little bit about you.
I'm Tina Tarbox, and I have lived my entire life with chronic pain. I developed rheumatoid arthritis when I was 2 years old. So I have had a lot of experience and going through a lot of different therapies over the decades and different types of, both physical therapy, occupational therapy, different pharmaceutical therapies, you name it. In my lifetime, I have done so much to address chronic pain, to have a quality life, and have really achieved that for the duration of my life, but have really found, as Sandia does with her clients, that the holistic treatment, the non-pharmaceutical, that's really where you get the biggest punch. You get the most human-focused interventions that you can learn and use the rest of your life, because they come from you. You control them, you titrate how they work for you, when you apply them, all of that. And it certainly works with hypnotherapy like that as well, because you're kind of the master of that technique, and you get to apply it as needed and really be in control of that type of therapy that you use for yourself. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to have.
Yeah, and it's often that you just feel like lack of control. Excuse me, just get my husband to move. Paul, I'm just doing a video. That's what a lot of people who speak to me, they sort of say, I don't feel I've got any control over this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big thing. A lot of people, they've lived a life, especially professional women that have gone decades making their own decisions and, being career women and having a lifestyle. And then they get hit with something in life. And it's like, wow, I have no control over this. And it really feels that way for them. And certainly if you're introduced to a diagnosis that is frightening, and the medical community now holds the control over you, I see that all the time, where women who once were in control of their lives, that almost changes overnight.
Yeah.
And, people like you and I are here to help give people back that control. They never fully lost it. They just thought they did.
Yes.
With the diagnosis.
And is there anything really with the people that you work that they struggle with in particular when it comes to pain? I mean, we talked about, lack of control, but is there sort of like the day-to-day things in particular that they struggle with, or other emotional issues?
Part of it is the sense of overwhelm and the management of stress, because initially they're still trying to do the same exact things that they were doing before pain. Yeah. So you still have the get up out of bed, get ready, possibly get kids ready and get them to school, the drop-off line, get to work, full day of work, get the kids, go home, that's the normal drill, but you're now doing it in pain.
Yeah.
So there's not that ability to have the time in the day to adequately address the pain. So people are looking for the shortcuts, and that's often where the pharmaceuticals come in, because there's not a lot of time to address the lower back pain or the arthritis symptoms. And that's unfortunately where the stress and all that comes in. They're needing the quick fix rather than learning a technique. One thing that I do initially is just help them to kind of knock down that first domino, which is the stress. Get them out of that immediate fight flight, because that's exactly where they are initially. It's fight flight because they are drowning in the to-do list while they're hurting. And if I can, get in there and help it not be fight flight, then that's a big thing.
And would you just explain fight and flight just for those that don't know?
Absolutely. With our central nervous system, part of our primitive brain over the years, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, it was important for us, if we encountered something deadly like that, we would do a couple of things. We would either fight for survival or flee. And nowadays, we don't have dinosaurs coming at us, but we still have this nervous system that is attuned to that. And it's still ready to go. But it's going off like that, but it's not dinosaurs. It's things that shouldn't create that response. And centuries, thousands of years ago, when we ran from that dinosaur, it burned off that extra adrenaline and other hormones that were released. Now we're just sitting thinking about our 401k losing money, or thinking about, what if my kids get this virus at school? And we're not getting rid of those circulating hormones like we did when we were being chased by a T-Rex. So that's where we are with that. These things are just circulating and causing us to have adrenal fatigue and all kinds of negative things within our bodies.
And so then how does hypnotherapy come into that, and how does hypnotherapy work? I'm sure there's some people listening to this that are kind of thinking, am I going to be like losing control, me? So maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I do with that, rather than, teach people to be in a state that is controlled by someone else, I like to teach people to bring themselves into that state. A very gentle, guided journey where they walk themselves into it, so to speak. They are the creators of their imagery. For example, if something that feels rewarding to them is laying on a beach or being on a yoga mat on the side of a beautiful mountain, that's kind of the place that I want them to go to in their mind, to be able to relieve some of their stress. And I will walk them through something like a body scan, for them to kind of go inside and us go through head to toe and figure out, where are we holding it? Where is that stress? And then they decide where that stress is and how to let that go. And just, that's a simplistic overview, but it's really gentle ways to help them kind of be the masters of that, so that they can go back and they can do that themselves each day, to kind of release that and to They're not going to go out and necessarily run to get rid of it, but they're going to be able to get rid of it through that process.
And do you have a story maybe you could share of one of your clients of their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. One person that I have worked with, it was one who had psoriatic arthritis. And that is a type, oftentimes over the years, is diagnosed wrongly as just psoriasis, the skin symptoms. And it's often treated that way, for decades. And meantime, the person's going along having a lot of joint damage that no one is ever picking up on until they have a joint that completely fails. And that's something that had happened with a woman that I was working with. And she had been able to get the psoriasis part under control. They had her, and I know this sounds a little counterintuitive, but for a while they used tanning beds for that. And she had gotten that under control, but she felt like there was something else going on. So after kind of teaching her to go through the scans like that, she picked up on her knee. There's something wrong with my knee. And she was able to go back and kind of voice that to a physician of hers, took it seriously. And it turned out, after they did some further testing and some imaging, that she did show some arthritic damage to that knee.
Yeah.
So
Self-awareness as well.
yeah, so listening, getting in tune. We have a lot of intuitive knowledge of our own bodies. We have more of it when we're children. I know that from living in my body as a child with a chronic illness. I was much more connected during that time frame than I was as a teenager and a 20-something. I've had to go back and really connect to the way that I was back then. And that has been such a great resource for me to do that, to be able to teach it to others.
Mm-hmm.
And, be able to say, yeah, this is what I did back then. You're never more authentic than when you are as a little kid. And that's a very special part of why I decided to go into this work in midlife and leave the corporate world and make this my life's work.
So what got you into hypnotherapy in the first instance?
It was this. Yeah, I had gone to school. I have a master's of science in psychology, and I had worked in mental health advocacy and just general healthcare advocacy my whole career. And I went through a period where I was taking care of both of my parents until they had passed. And after my mom died, I wasn't working. I had taken care of them. And I thought, what do I want to do now? And I thought, I don't want to go back to regular work. I want to do my thing. And I decided that I wanted to go back and get a full hypnotherapy training. And I knew that I didn't want to do, smoking cessation or something like that. I knew I wanted to work with people with chronic pain. That had been my life's work, my own life's work. And I wanted to bring that to people in a meaningful way.
So you did the psychology, but then how did they cover hypnotherapy within that, or had you experienced hypnotherapy before?
I had experienced back then in the US, I got my master's in the 90s, so it wasn't a big thing back then. I think we did like a weekend course in it back in that time period. You know, we're kind of a little slow in the US to adopt things like that at times. And especially in the South where I am from. So it didn't really catch on a lot back then, but I did do the one course. And then, you know, over the years, there's been more and more research data showing how guided imagery, guided meditation, hypnotherapy, all that is beneficial. You know, I mean, there are tons of medical journals now that demonstrate it. So I thought, you know, a lot of this stuff is what I did as a kid. I've got the psychology background. I want to solidify this with the hypnotherapy coursework. So I did a year-long program, and that's how I got to where I am.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I had a question for you because obviously I deal with people with mainly lower back pain, but also people that are really in severe pain. I've often found, because it was interesting, she said you do the body scan. I've often found that when they do the body scan, it's drawing them into their pain more. Mm-hmm. So actually, I tend to more focus on the breath than getting them to do the body scan. Do you find the same?
What I do initially, I have them at the very beginning before the body scan to give me a number, like on the pain scale of where their pain is. And then as they go through it, I am having them do their breathing. And then when they get to that spot that is going to be kind of a flare-up number, I have them tell me what the number is for that spot. It is going to elevate a little bit. I have them do a little bit of a pause with some deeper breathing again. We get that number down and then we move past that. So it's kind of, you know, treating it right there, because some will have that, some won't. Some people are hurting all over. You know, you never know until you get into that. But, and then with some people, it's necessary to bring up the level in a spot where they may not know where they're hurting. But I can, you know, if I'm doing it via Skype or Zoom, if I see them physically tense, I know that's where they're carrying it. And I'll need to have them say tense and ask them to do that, tense it a little more, and that will help them to kind of relax that area after they tense. Kind of like the Jacobsonian relaxation techniques. I don't know if you ever were familiar with those. Those were the ones where you would have people clench and release in order to do relaxation. They don't use those a whole lot anymore, but that was big in the 90s.
We were taught that actually in our yoga training, tense.
Yeah, tense and release. So
don't use it so much now. Just tend to just like scan through the body, then the tight and relax.
Yeah.
Or little tight and relax. We used to do like each part of the body, but I don't know. I don't feel so drawn to it anymore. That was great, Tina. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Let's see. We covered the sense of control, and one thing I wanted to do, and this is, I like to give people kind of a quick win. A lot of people sort of, you know, they're in that space where they feel like, oh, you know, how could I possibly have any control over my body? You know, this is just too big. This is too much. You know, my body is out of control. And what I ask them to do in that situation, and I'm going to ask you to do this, is I want you to imagine a lemon, a very, very yellow, bright lemon, okay? And I want you to take it in your hand, and it's cold because you just picked it up, and it's in your hand, it's cold, and it's drippy, you know, probably a little bit of water on it, but I want you to take it and just squeeze it a little, okay, and feel it. It's dimpled and it's ripe, because when you squeeze it, it squishes a little bit, okay? And you can smell it. It's citrus, so you can smell it a little bit. And then I want you to take it and just cut it in half. And you can do that. You've got a knife and you can put it down, and okay? And now you can really smell it, right? And you don't have any. All right. So you're slicing the lemon, and don't worry, you don't have any cuts on your hand, so it's not going to burn or sting. All right, so you've got the lemon, and I want you to pick up half of it in your hand, and wow, it smells really, really good. So I want you to bring it up a little closer and smell the lemon. Oh, it smells so, so good. Give it a little squeeze, and you can really, really smell that citrus. And now I want you to bring it up closer to your mouth and just imagine what that lemon would taste like if you had a drop of that sweet and sour lemon in your mouth. And then give it another little squeeze. And now just take your tongue and touch it to that lemon. And there you go. Are you salivating a little?
I don't actually like lemon.
So, you what?
Actually, I can feel the saliva in my mouth.
You can?
I could even feel like I could smell it.
Uh-huh.
Very strange.
Yes.
The power of the mind.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you like a lemon or not, that lemon became very real to you.
Yeah.
So that's how we help people to achieve a state that they want to achieve.
Yeah. Thank you. We often do as well. If I say if people can't do certain exercises, say visualize yourself doing it, because it's still brain patterns.
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Tina, would you like to share where anyone can find you?
Absolutely. The best way is my Facebook group. It is Pain Reimagined, Living Well Despite Chronic Pain, Tina Tarbox. And we can do also tinatarbox.click/dial-down. And I can give you that link. That'll make it a little easier.
Just it below. This will go on YouTube and on Facebook as well, so we will add it below. That was brilliant. Thank you, Tina. So I hope
Thank you.
everybody enjoyed watching this video and learning a little bit about how hypnotherapy can help with pain management. If anybody wanted to check me out, you can check me out on my website at yogakeynsham.com. That's yoga keynsham, KEYNSHAM.com. Or I've got a Facebook group, Lower Back Pain Support, on Facebook. So thank you ever so much, Tina.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I appreciate the opportunity.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.